Good morning, children. Today we are going to see the topic solution. Already we have done 3A. Now we are starting with 3B, solution. So, what we are going to learn in solution today is the important terminologies we are going to learn. Now, before going into that, let us see what a solution actually is. Solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more components whose composition may be gradually changed by changing the relative amount of the compounds. Okay. So, a solution is a homogeneous mixture. A solution is equal to, we would have learned in the lower classes, solute plus solvent is equal to solution. Okay. Now let us see the terminologies. The first word is homogeneous. A solution is a special type of homogeneous mixture where the ratio of solute to solvent remains the same throughout the solution and the particles are not visible with the naked eye. So, for example, you can take a tumbler of water to which you can add a spoon of salt. You are just stirring and mixing it. You are not able to see the particles. So, that is called as a salt solution. If you add sugar, it is called as a sugar solution. So, solution is a homogeneous mixture in which the ratio of solute to solvent remains uniform throughout the mixture. Then we call it as a homogeneous mixture. Now, the second terminology which we are supposed to know is dissolution. The dissolution is the action or process of dissolving or being dissolved. That is called as dissolution. Solute is the substance that dissolves and solvent is the medium in which the solutes get dissolved. So, the medium of dissolution that allows one or more components to dissolve in it is called as a solvent. And the substance that dissolves in the solvent, we call it as solute. Solute plus solvent, it is solution. Now let us go to the further classification of solution. What is meant by a binary solution? A binary solution is the one which is made up of two components is called as binary solution. Now the doubt arises whether it has to be two liquids or one liquid and one solid. So any two components. For example, it may be a mixture of two liquids also. Or it may be a mixture of a liquid and a solid. For example, we are seeing salt plus water or sugar plus water, alcohol plus water. It is called as binary solution. So, it has two components. One is called as the solute, the other one is called as the solvent. Which is a solvent which is present in the larger quantity. So, when you are mixing water and alcohol, so one which is present in the larger quantity, we call it as solvent. One which is present in the lesser quantity, it is called as the solute. Ternary solution. Ternary solution is a solution which has three components is called as ternary solution. For example, it may be salt, sugar and water. It may be two solvents and one salt, or that is one solid, or it may be two solids and one solvent. Whatever it is called as ternary solution. Quaternary solution means it will have four components. So, it goes on like that. Now, let us classify the solution. Solutions can be classified as homogeneous and heterogeneous solutions also. So, because homogeneous solutions we call it as true solutions. Heterogeneous solution is again of two types. One is suspension, the other one is colloids. Colloid, you can have an example like milk, you would have seen a paint, all those are colloidal solutions. And suspension means, for example, the particle size is very big that you can clearly make out. We call it as suspension. For example, when you take a bowl of water and you can add your chalk powder and just you stir it and mix it, you get suspension. So, true solution is a solution in which the size of the particles is only about 10 power minus 10 meter and it is not visible for the naked eye. We call it as true solution. Now, in order to understand the types of solution based upon the particles, we have to know what is meant by the solubility. Solubility can be defined as the maximum amount of solute expressed in grams that can be dissolved in 100 gram of water at a specific temperature and pressure. We call it as solubility of a substance. Okay, solubility can be increased by, for example, when you are going to stir it, you can increase the solubility. When you are going to heat it, you can increase the solubility. For example, you are making a tea or you are making a juice, you are adding a spoon of sugar into tea and in the juice. You can see that when the tea is hot, you would have experienced also that the sugar dissolves water. So there are many factors that can increase the solubility. One of that is the temperature. The temperature increases the solubility. That is why we are given specific temperature and pressure. The amount of the solute that gets dissolved in 100 gram of a particular solvent. It need not be always water also. So based on that, the solution is again classified as unsaturated, saturated and supersaturated. A solution in which more of a solute can be dissolved at a given temperature is called as an unsaturated solution. That means you can dissolve more amount of solute still further at the same temperature, which is we call it as a unsaturated. Saturated solution. A solution is said to be saturated when you cannot dissolve any more of a solute at a given temperature. In that particular temperature, you cannot dissolve any amount of a solute further. We call it as a saturated solution. So, how to prepare a saturated solution? For example, let us see we are preparing a solution of copper sulfate. Imagine we are preparing a solution of copper sulfate. So, first thing we have to take a beaker and we have to take 100 ml of water and add 1 gram of copper sulfate, stir it, try to dissolve. Again add 1 gram, stir it and continue adding 1 gram at a time and stir it vigorously. At a stage will come when no more of the copper sulfate will dissolve at that particular temperature. That solution is said to be saturated. So what is a saturated solution? A solution that contains the maximum amount of the dissolved solute, or a solution in which no more a solute can be dissolved. We call it as saturated. Supersaturated solution means a solution that contains more dissolved solute than the saturated solution at the same temperature. We call it as supersaturated. Heat a saturated solution and dissolve some more solute into it, then cool it back to the room temperature without causing any disturbance. Such a solution we call it as a supersaturated solution. That is a solution that holds more amount of solute than it can be theoretically done at a given temperature. We call it as a supersaturated solution. Again, the next classification we are seeing aqueous and non-aqueous solution. So water, we already know that it has a high dielectric constant. It is polar in nature. Because of that, it is called as a universal solvent. It can dissolve many things. So when a solution is prepared taking water as the solvent, we call it as aqueous solution. If a solution is prepared taking other substances except water as a solvent, we call it as non-aqueous solution. So, aqueous is the term related with aqua, that is water. Any solution that is prepared using water as the solvent, we call it as the aqueous solution. And non-aqueous means other than water, the solvent may be an alcohol, the solvent may be an acid. For example, tincture of iodine is a solution of iodine in alcohol. Okay, now let us come to the last one, dilute solution and concentrated solution. Dilute solution. It is a solution in which the amount of solute is less compared to that of the mass of the solvent, whereas concentrated means amount of solute is relatively more than the mass of the solvent. So let us see, you can see in the picture here there is 2 beakers of same size and same amount of the solvent is also present, that is in blue in color, so you can clearly make out, and the ball like structure is of solute is also shown there. In the diluted solution you can see the solute is less, whereas in the concentrated solution you can see the solute is more. So this gives us a clear understanding about the dilute and the concentrated solution. Now, dilute solution means the amount of the solute is rather less compared to the mass of the solvent, whereas the concentrated solution means the amount of the mass, that is the solute, is relatively more for a given mass of the solvent. The amount of the solute is comparatively more for a given mass of a solvent. So with this, we are trying to finish the terminologies which is related with that particular lesson.